Coach Harsin, and then we'll open it up for questions.
All right. Well, first of all, just going back to the game, I want to thank the fans who came to Air Force. I think we had probably over 1,000 people there, and really appreciate those fans that came out to support us. That's big for us, and we've always traveled well here, and fully expect that going into this game against Nevada. As far as the quarterback goes, that's going to be a question there. There's no controversy from that standpoint. We're going to continue like we do every single week at that position and every other position. Let these guys go out there and perform in practice, and then get them prepared for the game. But Grant has played well. Did not have his best game, and neither did we as a team in this last game. But we got to continue to build on what we're doing, and that's part of our process. Injuries. I don't think we're any different than most teams in the country. We've had some injuries. Teams have injuries. Our trainers are doing a great job of getting these guys that are banged up back. They're busy, and our players are doing everything they can to get themselves back as well. So from that standpoint, fully expect guys to be ready to rock and roll throughout the week, and things change as the week changes, and days and practice and all that. So that'll be about it on injuries from this point on. Air Force, there's some really good individual efforts in that game. We're disappointed, as far as how the game turned out, obviously. But if you look at some performances from that game, you saw some guys that really played well. Some of those guys in particular: Blake Reno, Thomas Spurbeck, Marcus Henry, and Chancellor James. Say it every week, it's a little cliche, but the turnovers become the biggest thing in games. That continues to prove itself true, even in this game here. So you have that many turnovers, it's going to be very difficult to beat any football team you play. I was really proud of our defense, to keep us in the game and allow us at least an opportunity towards the end there, as we started to make somewhat of a comeback, but allow our team to stay in the game. And those guys were fighting. They got 3 turnovers themselves, and they really got them. As we needed them even more. I mean, we emphasized in those situations, defense, we need to have a turnover, and we got them. And so really proud of the way those guys played to at least hold us close enough to give us a chance in that game at the end. Right now, talk to the players to understand that, where we are. We have a loss in the conference, and, from this point on, I mean, every game is critical, and we can still give ourselves an opportunity moving forward if we take care of our business. But it's all about Nevada. We're focused on Nevada. That's it. We anticipate having great support down there. I'm sure the fans in Nevada are going to welcome us with open arms, like they always do, and they'll be ready to play. They've played well, and they've continued to play well. In these past few games that we've seen them. A little bit about Nevada. They're averaging 25 points a game. They're also controlling the ball. Number 1 in time of possession, in our conference. Their quarterback, Cody, he's probably one of the best we've seen. That guy can run, throw it, and he's the key to their offense. He's a really good quarterback. I like that guy, and he's played well, and he continues to play well. On defense, number 1 in the conference, number 9 in the nation in turnovers. That's obviously a big topic, for us, but that's also something they focused on that showed up. Their D-line, those guys have all played well. Number 53 and 8. Watch those guys a little bit, and they're active. Similar to our D-line and even the numbers, if you look at it from that standpoint. They're active up front in a 4-3 defense. They do have a new defensive coordinator this year, Scott Boone, and they've been playing better, and it shows up. So from that standpoint, on the offensive side, we have to go out there and study what they're doing and obviously do a better job than we did in the previous game. So we know what's at stake going into this game. We also have to continue, like we do every week, focus on ourselves, get better. We have to improve in areas, and we've got to make sure we get that done by Saturday at 7:30 when we go play. And so with that, we'll open up for questions.
So, Harsin, you said no controversy, but competition and practice. So is Grant your starting quarterback this week? It wasn't real clear then.
Yeah, I think I made it pretty clear, yes.
So reasoning behind that after you watched the film, what would you see and what made you decide to stick
Well, I see a guy that was third and completion percentage coming into the game, didn't play a good game. You don't just put people to the wayside. They have a bad performance. That's not all on Grant. I mean, let's just get that straight. When one particular player, and it's usually our quarterback, if he doesn't play well, it's not always one guy's fault in the game. It's coaching, it's on me, it's on scheme, it's on a lot of other things. So, the natural thing is you want to fire a guy, and everybody wants to fire a guy immediately, and we're just not going to do that because we know the realities, and we know exactly what happened, and we know why it happened. And so that's just not who we are, and that's not going to be. We're not going to make a knee-jerk reaction. So Grant's going to play better this week. We're going to do a better job coaching him. The guys around him are going to play better, and that's the bottom line, and that needs to happen.
You talk about what you saw from Finley in his fourth quarter, and then any chance you throw him out there for a series to
Yeah, I would say that. I wouldn't say that Finley wouldn't play. I was really fired up the way Finley played, to be honest with you. Now, was it perfect? And let me just make this very clear. I've been down this road before where a backup quarterback comes in, and you still evaluate that performance. Every time a backup comes in, he does anything good, everyone's like, that's the answer. He played well, and he played with fire, and he got his back into the game, close. But still, we had a turnover in there, and it was on a 4th and long situation. But I really liked the way that he competed. I liked the way he approached the situation. As kind of grim as it was, he was ready to go. And that's really what you're asking those guys to do at any position, and especially that position. So, this week for him, if I'm Finley, I got some confidence now that I played in the game, and I played fairly well, and would expect to see that going into practice. And then we'll see how he practices this week as we go through. But, those opportunities, even at the quarterback position, will earn you opportunities to play. When and where, I don't know that yet. But there's not a controversy at the quarterback position, but Finley has earned himself a right to play, and obviously he feels good about it, we feel good about it, and we'll see how that kind of transpires into the game.
How hard is it in a game to make that decision to take your starting quarterback out of the game and go with a backup? And I know that you guys have also talked about getting some guys in right situations where they can succeed, and did that play into it all with Ryan as well?
Well, I think it did. Let me say this. I think if you're in a, with the way the game went on offense, our defense played really well to keep it that close. All right? If it's 60-0, it's easy to put the backup in. All right? When you're still kind of in a fighting chance, it's 17-0, and you're having opportunities to move the ball, and all you got to do is just a little bit here, a little bit there. You want to give your guys a chance to kind of fight through it and fight back. And then there comes a point where, you need to make a change. The perfect timing of that, I don't know. But you got to allow guys to fight and battle back in certain situations. That's what you want to see. I thought we made the move at the right time, and we just didn't have enough time when it was all said and done to go out there and at least get the game back close or get into a position to tie it up.
I know you say you're not going to give individual injury updates, but just in general, how badly do you guys need this bye week? It seems like you have a lot of guys in our main.
Well, we don't have a bye week yet.
Yeah.
When we get that, we'll see where we're at that point. But I don't think. You look around the country. Guys get banged up. It's football. That's what it is. And each week, as we lead into game time, things change as well. So that's where we're at. But our guys are doing a good job of doing everything they can to get themselves back, and that's just where we are right now.
Back to the quarterbacks. Any changes in practice and reps between Hedrick and Finley?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. I like how you tried. I like how you worded that one there, though. Finley might get one more rep. There you go.
With Grant, do you have to take any time this week to build that confidence back up, or how much is the fact that he's a senior, he's kind of been through some of these struggles at times before, but do you have to take some time to make sure that he's mentally good going into this game?
Yeah, I think anytime after every game, even wins, you got to go back and not everybody plays a great game even when you win. Obviously, when you lose, it's compounded more by what happened in the game and the turnovers and all that. So, yeah, we got to do a good job as coaches, to get everybody, on the offensive side back up and running and confident. And all right, this is was one inch away here or one miss this away from making a play. And I think when you go back and watch the tape, every time you do that, you're like, all right, that's pretty simple fix. And it's really what it is. There's a couple simple fixes in there that just need to go better, and it didn't go that way. So I don't think you lose confidence. I think when you watch the tape and go back, you really know, yeah, had we done it that way, it would have worked out better. But you want to get back into the groove. You want to get back into it. So come Tuesday's practice, we want to go after it and hit it hard, and no different with Grant. And, Grant's a tough guy, and he's mentally tough as well. So, I fully expect him to bounce back from that. And it's 24 hours ago. We were worried about it. We're not worried about it now. We're worried about Nevada.
Secondary that you had at Ole Miss, 4 guys that started, 2 safeties and 2 corners, totally different than what you put out at Air Force. How do you think those guys played?
I thought they played well. I really do. I mean, the defense, there was about 2 things in that game that probably stood out, that we could have done better. But for the most part, I mean, our guys, I thought the corners did a good job. They stayed on their guys. I thought the linebackers, getting guys in position, and Corey Bell in particular, really helping guys get lined up and kind of knowing what's going on tendency-wise from their offense, did a great job. So would expect that again going into this game. Probably going to see a different style, more passing, a little bit more throwing than we saw in the last game, but still need to see the same type of performance from those corners.
You mentioned Nevada's defensive line, and I know you mentioned number 53, Brock Hecking. I don't know what stands out about him, and then also, too, if you have any opinion on his marvelous hair.
Yeah, I actually saw that. The hair, I think, speaks for itself, But those guys, I mean, you watch them; they're good up front. They play hard, and they're playing with confidence, and I think they're playing within their scheme, which was a little bit different style than they had last year. So, to me, it's about what they're doing, and we obviously, we're paying attention to that. We're going to have to be at our very best, to play against those guys and to play at the level they're playing at right now. So we've got to improve this week. They're going to say the same thing to their defensive line. They've got to get better as well, and we get come game time, who's put in the most work, and there's going to be a great battle up front, I think, between both sides of the ball.
You mentioned Chancellor James in your open. 13 tackles, I think. He had his career high. I mean, what have you seen kind of him? You talked earlier in the season how he didn't really get a redshirt season since he was hurt last year.
Yeah.
How have you kind of seen him progress?
Yeah, well, that kind of showed in that game. I mean, he was in the right place at the right time and making plays. And, I think when you look at Chance, I mean, he's got a lot of tools. He's long, runs, strong, getting bigger. And like I'd mentioned before, yeah, I mean, he hasn't had, he's been injured, so he's had to deal with that and not just focused on, what we're doing. Obviously, there's been a defensive change in there as well, so it just takes a little bit of time. But you see him really developing, into one of our better players, and it showed in this game, and he's got confidence from that, and I hope that continues to show as we move forward.
You also mentioned Thomas Burbeck. He stepped into kind of a big role. You said that he essentially replaced Matt Miller. So how impressed have you been with his patience to get on the field? Because he didn't redshirt last year, waiting for an opportunity this year, and then with the results that you saw.
Yeah, well, Thomas we really like. I mean, he gets it. He's been around football for a long time in his life, so he understands it. What he came into and how he performed, we were happy with it. We were happy for him that he got the opportunity and came in there and played as well as he did, and happy for us too that we got a chance to see him out there and watch him play and be in a situation that, like Finley, was called upon to go out there and make some plays. And he had a couple of catches now, one in particular that was, I don't know how he caught it. I mean, and maybe he doesn't either. I don't know, but he had a fantastic catch. But he does those things in practice, not that catch in particular, but he does things in practice now that you look at it and go, that guy's pretty good. Obviously, he's replacing a really good player as well. So that gives us, more chances to see him, and he earns opportunities to be on the field.
Is it cool to see a guy flash instincts like that?
What's that?
Just flash instincts like that, to catch that ball?
Yeah, I don't have them. I know that. It is. You're in the moment, and some guys, and he showed it. I mean, he was able to whip his eyes around, and I'm sure, we all look at it in kind of amazement, and able to snatch the ball and find it. But like I said, I mean, I think he's seen things like that. I'm sure that by being around it, that's not something that would probably surprise him, and we hope those type of plays continue.
You look at the matchup between the quarterbacks coming up Saturday. It seems like Fajardo and Grant have a lot of similar skill sets. We've talked about what you see as similar for them and maybe what each of them might do differently.
Both can run, and both can throw it. I think the key is, and I think they're similar from that standpoint. Obviously the key is moving the ball down the field at that position, making good decisions, taking care of the ball. Those are the keys in the game, and I think I don't know every one of his statistical information right now, but as far as what Cody's done, as far as taking care of the ball, and Grant's done that, take the Air Force game out of it. We've taken care of the ball. We made that an emphasis. That needs to continue. So I think anytime you're talking about two fairly equal quarterbacks and two good quarterbacks, in my opinion, when you start playing in that game, how do those guys play? How do they take care of the football? And usually we'll let you know how the game went.
Then on to the next one, mentality, be it a win or a loss. How important is that in college football? Is that something you teach? And how have your guys embraced that?
Yeah, I mean, there's really nothing we can do about the last game, win or loss. We can only focus on the next. There's nothing we can do about the games looking ahead, past Nevada. It's all about the next game. And I think if you watch college football and you're a fan and you play it, then I think you understand it. I mean, you just go through how one team beats another team, or, everybody presumes and predicts, and we can't do that. We have to go play, bottom line. So the mentality from the, every week being 1-0, I mean, that's really all we can do, and even more so now, even in our conference. I mean, that's what it needs to be. I mean, we understand that. At the same time, for our coaches and our players, I mean, I want those guys to enjoy it. Enjoy the process leading into the game, and enjoy getting out there and playing, and enjoy that experience to go play against a good football team, and enjoy the wins, and then learn from the losses. I mean, that's what we have to do. So from that standpoint, we need to get better at it and through our process. But the mindset 1-0, we're only concentrated on Nevada. That's all that matters, and they get our full attention. That's not going to change.
Ball security with Ajay. I mean, obviously he loses the ball sometimes when he's trying to extend the play. But that's what makes him so good, is he extends plays. Where do you step in? Where do you coach him on what to do and when to go down?
Yeah, I've never coached a running back on how to run. That's their job. That's why they do what they do. They've got vision. Now, ball security is different. We got to take care of the ball, and extending the play, yes, those are positives. Doing it with the football, and that's all that matters. The bottom line is we control the ball, and that's the most important thing we have. And we continue to do ball security drills, but that's got to be something that, through that experience and the ball being loose, or somewhere as you're running it gets a little bit loose, you got to refocus on making sure that ball's tight, two hands on the ball in certain situations. And there were some good hits, Air Force, there were some good shots in there as well. But, everybody takes good shots and hangs on to the ball still. So we just got to hang on to the ball. It's got to be something that's, constantly focused on. It's the most important thing we got. That's why they call the game football. That's the most important thing there is. And we've got to make sure that we continue to keep that in our minds at all times. And, Jay's been good about it, and he's run the ball, and he's put himself in good situations. And we had some unfortunate turnovers in this last game, and that just needs to be refocused and continues to be a focus throughout every game.
When you guys analyze the red zone, what do you see holding you guys back in this 50% touchdown so far this year, which isn't
It's
really
not
good.
it.
And
Yep.
then also, last year when you guys struggled early offensively at Arkansas State, you got more involved in the offense. Wondering if you're going to do anything there with your role.
Yeah, I've been involved in the offense, so I don't know how much more there's really going to be from that standpoint. Yeah, the red zone, we want to score. I mean, that's not even kind of where we want to be, and we've emphasized it. We need to do a better job as coaches in the red zone, because we put a lot of time into it. We've talked about it. We spend practice time on it. We're going to have to find better ways to create touchdowns, period. And that's just what it is. So that goes back on, myself and making sure that we're doing what we have to do to create touchdowns and find ways to do that, because that's really what we need to be doing right now. We got to create them, and we got to find ways to go execute them. But that's the most important thing now, is focusing in that area. We're going to get down there. We've shown that. We're going to move the ball, and we need to come out of there with points.
How important are the little things this week against Nevada? I know that stats don't always necessarily tell the story, but at the same time, Nevada's been very good in the red zone themselves. You said it's coach speak, but they've also turned the ball over twice this season. So how important will the turnover battle be?
Huge. I mean, just you look at our board, you win the turnover battle, you win the game. I mean, that's probably the one stat over all my time in coaching that actually holds true. There might be one or two games in there that show up, but if you win the turnover battle, you usually win the game. And that's been here, that's been at Texas, that's been at Arkansas State. I mean, it doesn't change. That's just what it is. You're limiting yourself in possessions to score, and you're giving the other team opportunities when you turn the ball over. Simple as that. And then red zone, yeah, they've been good in the red zone. Our defense has played well in the red zone as well. So, we've got to do a better job. Understand that we're facing a different opponent that has done well. And on the flip side, like Chad was saying, we need to go score points. Sometimes our best defense, we took the ball, is to go score points. And we need to do that, bottom line. And we're going to have to manufacture, do whatever we have to do to get that done. Be stingy with the football when we're down in the red zone. But that's a key goal and a key ingredient for us to have success.
Nevada's defense is kind of experienced a stunning turnaround this year. It's for a team that's not known for its defense. It's really, really good. What's the difference?
Well, I think their guys are playing good. Scott Boone's a good defensive coordinator. Probably a little bit different style. I don't know him. I've watched, what he's done. He obviously shows that on the field and puts it on tape, that they're well coached, that they're playing better. And I think the kids, when you see a team make that type of turnaround, I mean, they're obviously got the right guys in the right spots, and their players believe in what they're doing. So, from that standpoint, I mean, I think they've got the right scheme and the right guys in the right spot, so they've improved. And that's going to be a huge test for us when we go down there. I mean, we've got to see, where we are in comparison. So we got a big week on the offensive side.
We've asked you a lot about the road, record on the road versus
Yep.
home or away from. I know you weren't here last year, and I know some of it has to do with the opponents you're playing too. But what do you see in there and the difference, and what can you do to try to get things going a little better on the road?
Yeah. No, that's definitely something that, I have paid attention to. Even not being here, that's a little bit of a trend that I really don't like, from that standpoint. And address it. I mean, that's the first thing you have to do. You have to address it. I mean, you can't just bury your head in the sands. Hey, we haven't had a favorable record in this last year, and if you go back in the previous years, I think from 08 to 12, it's like 31-4, on the road. So there's been a trend that we haven't played well on the road, and the best way to start with it is to address it and make that a point, that we need to play better on the road. And so we've done that. We'll continue to do that. And we need to go out there and prove it, bottom line. We beat UConn. We started off well. Doesn't mean you're always going to start off well on the road. You don't have, everything like you do at home, the energy and all that. And really, you've got to bring your own on away games, bottom line. No one's going to cheer for you when you score. You might hear a couple fans out there, maybe it's your parents. That's about it. And dealing with that. So we've got to obviously deal with it on the road, and we've got to address it first, but we've got to go out there and prove it.
Please, Sean Page back.
I don't know that yet.
All right, guys.
Good.